Okay, so we're going to build our treehouse here in Lightwave Modeler. The first thing we're going to start with is the tree trunk. And so I'm going to, in the box primitive here, in create box, and start off here. Ignore those lines that came up. I'm going to show you how to make them yourself. And just drag it up. Again, ignore those lines. I'll show you how that happens and why that happens. So we're just going to make a sort of like a tower. Like imagine this is the tree trunk, and I'm going to divide it up so that we can pull out the branches. So you're just using the right arrow key to divide it like that. And then the up arrow key, I'm doing 1, 2, about 3. And then I also want it divided through the top. See here how it is on this side. I want it to happen on this side. If you don't see these wires, just come here and go to textured wire in the perspective view so you can see what's happening. So I'm going to click on here and I'm going to do, oh, I did that wrong. So if you did it wrong, just go back one and with the left arrow key. So I'm going to click the up arrow. So now it's divided the way we want with the up arrow key and the right arrow key. So the next thing I'm going to do is use the Magic Bevel tool. This is one of my very, very favorite tools in Lightwave. So you come up to multiply, come down here to Magic Bevel. Now all these little circles you see, they're called knots, and they pop up and you can pull them all out. They're called extrusions when you pull them out, extrusions. So you kind of have to practice this and take your time. I'm not going to make it perfect now, but come into the perspective. You're at sort of an angle and you're pulling it out. It's kind of amazing. And you can see that got kind of flat, which is what you don't want. You want it to look like a branch, like that. So you're getting it at the right angle, and if you do get something flat like this, I want you to start over. So if you do Control Z, it's going to lose everything and you have to go back into the Magic Bevel, but that's okay because it's good to practice. So draw out a bunch of branches, make them look the way you want. When they get flat like that, again, if you do Control Z, it'll disappear, but you can also delete it, but this is what happens when you delete it. I'll show you. Hit the N key, and this numeric is going to come up. You can go to Operation Delete Path, and then you can click on the knot at the very end, and that's going to delete that. But then watch, when we go back into the Magic Bevel tool, now there is a knot for every single polygon here, which is great because that's how we're going to add our other branches that are going to stick out of it. But just so you know, that's kind of the issue with deleting stuff. So take your time, make a bunch of branches, have fun, practice getting the angle right. Make some roots too that go down into the floor, or ground, I should say. And then you can zoom in and get these other smaller branches, you know, and take your time with that. And so every time you click out of the Magic Bevel tool and click back in, now all of these are going to have knots to pull out. So that one was not so great. And now when I do Control Z or Command Z, it just takes the last extrusion group of extrusions I made from when I clicked back into the Magic Bevel tool. Okay, so you're going to take a lot of time to do this and get your branches looking really cool. Spend time with that, but I'm going to keep moving on. So the next step is going to be building the treehouse. So you're going to go back to your create box primitive, and we're just going to make a simple platform. And I'm going to move it. And we don't need all that geometry in there. We don't need it all divided up. So I'm just going to do the back arrow key, the down arrow key to get rid of it, down arrow key. I think I got rid of them all. So you're gonna create your platform, and you can make it however makes sense for your branches. So everybody's gonna be a little different. You know, you can have some branches going through, but just make a nice size platform. And you can start naming your surfaces while you're at this point. So I can hit Q, I can call this platform. I can make it brownish if you want like a wood tone. Okay, not gonna, make sure you click smoothing. Not gonna spend too much time. And then I'm gonna make the house that goes on the platform. So like the treehouse part. So that's gonna be a big cube basically sitting on top of the platform. So if I move this around. So you can really make it whatever size you want. And again, I want you to spend a lot more time on this. Do leave a little space to make like a balcony area because you're gonna have to put a railing and stuff in there. So create this simple shape, and I'm actually going to divide this up now so we can make a roof. So I'm going to do the up arrow twice and the left arrow twice. Now I want to make sure I have a line for the roof here. This is like the spine of the roof that you see. So just make sure you divide it up so you can see that. And I think that looks pretty good for what I want. I'm just gonna get this in the right place. Okay, now we are going to pull the roof out with the edge selection tool. So that's down here in the bottom. See where it says edge selection, and I'm gonna select the spine of the roof that I'm going to pull up. So see how it highlights it? I'm gonna hold shift and just click to select that. If I want to undo, just release shift and click. And then we're going to the move tool, which is modify move, or the T key command, and I'm just dragging it up. Now let me get zoomed out here a little bit. So make sure that it's straight, and you can see how that already looks like a house. Next thing we're gonna do is the roof overhang. So hit the question mark to deselect, or hit the space bar, question mark to deselect everything. I'm gonna get in the polygon selection tool by hitting the space bar, and I'm gonna click this, hold shift, click this. So I'm selecting these two to drag out as the roof overhang. Then we're gonna come into multiply, extend over here, smooth shift, smooth shift. Okay, so that's a little roof overhang that you've created. You can also, while these are highlighted, change the color of just these two polygons. So I can do Q and I can call them roof windows and make them yellow, as if there's light coming out of there. I also kind of want to change the color of the house, so I'm gonna go spacebar, question mark. I'm going to be in the polygon selection, press the right bracket key to select all, and then just click on these two in the front to unselect them. So everything's selected except those two in the front, and then hit Q, call it house, and maybe I'll make it blue so it's contrasting. All right, there we go, and question mark to deselect. You can move out of this to just texture so you can just see what it looks like that. Okay, so you are going to add colors to everything, name everything in class. You're gonna make a railing, start to work on that, adding more color. But what I want to show you in this tutorial to make sure you have a video of is creating a sky dome. So that's so light can bounce off and make it more realistic. And we're going to get more detailed into skydomes later, but this is just basic setup of a skydome, so you can start to see how that works. So we're going to actually work in a new layer, and we will also get more into new layers. Remember, we're just starting out, so don't be freaked out if this is a lot. These are the layers up here, and I'm just going to click here to be in a new layer. Now I still want to kind of be able to see what I did in that last layer, so I'm going to click on the bottom triangle here to see that. And I'm going to come to create ball, and I am dragging out a ball. I'm gonna hit N to I made the sides 90. You can, just so they're a little smoother, you can add as many or as few as you want. It kind of depends on your grid size and the size of everything. So important things are, we're gonna center it. So 0, tab 0, and then I'm gonna make the radius of mine 100, 100, 100. And you can make this a lot bigger or a lot smaller. Again, we're just starting out with this, so don't worry too much about the size. We're just kind of experimenting, seeing how it goes. So now I'm going to keep that as it is. So I'm gonna hit the ball tool again to get out of it, and I'm gonna delete the bottom half, so we just have the top of the dome. So I'm right clicking and dragging around, and you have to see how I'm going a little bit above the x-axis here, because watch how that will select it. So everything there is selected. I'm holding the Control X. You may be able to just do delete on your PCs, but Control X on the Mac or delete. And then so mine is already named. If yours isn't named and colored, mine already has a color. So in your polygon selection, just select any polygon, hit the right bracket tool, hit Q. I'll rename it. Let's call it sky. I'll give it this blue color, press OK. And now we're gonna flip it. So whatever textures on here, whatever colors on here is on the outside right now, but we want it to be a dome with all that color on the inside. So you can come to detail and flip, or it's just the F key on your keypad. So if we just come to texture here, and let me deselect. So now you can see that there is a dome here, and it's on the inside. All the any texture images we put, which we're not going to do right now, but everything will be on the inside there. Okay, and now you're just going to create a really simple ground with the box. So come to the box tool. Doesn't need any geometry, so you can do the left arrow key and the down arrow key to get rid of that. Down arrow key, and then just set it down there. Make sure it's going all the way around the dome, and then let's go Q, call it ground, make it green. Okay, so that happens sometimes. It can be a little annoying. It's because I was still in this primitive here, so I'm gonna go back and select my dome with the polygon selection, hit the right bracket key to select it all, Q, and bring it back to sky. Okay, so there we have it. Everything is colored, and we have our dome. We have these two layers here that you can check out. And the next thing we're gonna do is send to layout. So come up here. You know what is happening? I didn't save. So first I have to save it. Treehouse. Okay, save it. Now that it's saved, I can send it to layout. Okay, so we have this in here. If we come to the camera view, and we go to camera, and I'm gonna be in the move tool, get it set up, and I'm gonna go to Y, to hit Y on the keyboard to rotate, because I kind of want to see the front of mine, hit T to move, and you don't want to see the sides of the dome. That's why making a bigger dome eventually will be beneficial. And so what we're going to do with the dome is make it luminous. Oh, first thing you want to remember to do while we're in the camera moving it around, go to properties and change the resolution to HD, this one here. That's always just something to get in the habit of. So we are going to make the skydome luminous by going to render, surface editor, and see we named everything. So let's go to the sky and you can turn the luminosity to 90. Watch what happens. See now that surface is lighting itself. It has a light illuminating from it. So you can make it 100, you can play around with it, you can change the color of the luminosity here. It's pretty cool. So you can really do a lot with that with just this simple thing. Make sure smoothing is checked. And then I want you to adjust the distant light, which is come down to lights, just go to T to move and just get it so everything is well lit in your scene. Go to Y to rotate. Make sure you have it lit the way you want. You know, give it some dramatic shadows. And let's take a look in VPR. And you're going to adjust yours so you don't see like this kind of thing, but you want it to look great. You can see what that luminous color is doing, and you can see how it can really affect the colors of your objects. So in class, you're going to work on making a railing, a ladder. You're going to make yours way more detailed. You're going to play around with the colors and the lighting of the sky dome, the luminosity. So have fun.